Hi everyone! Time for the first update on my project to coach a monoglot in her first successful language learning mission, where she'll be learning Esperanto. Now we're doing something really different this time because I'm recording literally every single second of language learning, so not a single important realization is missed. And another really cool thing about this project is the person I'm coaching is my girlfriend. Time for her to introduce herself.
Saluton! Mia nomo estas Lauren, kaj ĉi tiu semajno mi komencis lerni Esperanton.
Well, that was day 6, but we're getting ahead of ourselves now. Let me show you how the whole week went from start to finish. The first moments on camera. She has reached it. She's entered Learnu into her computer and she's going to sign up for an account.
Wait, I'm supposed to figure this out myself.
She's spoken. If you run into any problems, you let me know. Mwah.
Okay.
Saluton.
Saluton.
So, it started off very well, and she
Saluton.
learned some basic words and sounded it out.
Kiu vi estas? Mi estas Anna. Kiu vi estas? Mi estas Margo. All personal pronouns. Mi, vi, li, si, gi, ni, ili. So it says, this is a person, and then it has the word kaj,
Tio estas du homoj.
homoi.
This is the funny moment when she realized that the letter J is pronounced like a Y.
I've been saying it like a dumbass the whole time. You evil person. Is my hour up yet?
Nope.
Are you keeping track?
You have been doing this for exactly 48 minutes.
Things weren't all that great though. Day 1, we ran into a major setback that made her learn slower than she could have.
It's kind of boring.
Then
'Cause it's just, that is a girl. That is an apple.
Yeah, that's not the way I would. I didn't realize their course was so dry.
It's basic though. I mean, it's for basic beginner. It's helpful. Like I'm learning, but it's really boring. That is
Okay.
an apple. That is.
Finding it boring was not a good start. I knew that the course was the problem, so I asked a friend of mine, Chuck Smith, if he had any recommendations, and he said that Learnu has multiple courses depending on learning style. We happened to pick the one that Lauren didn't like. We changed this and things got much better on day 2.
Yeah, because I feel like I can actually say things now that I would say, as opposed to yesterday where I feel like I didn't learn anything that I would say.
Now, this is another good thing that you can confirm with people that you said yesterday that you were feeling really dumb, you know?
Yeah.
And that's sometimes because you simply don't have the right approach.
Yeah. So I like this approach much better because I can see if I'm doing things right or wrong, and I can feel like I'm moving forward as opposed to just wondering the whole time like what's happening.
As a coach, my job was not to teach her, but to make sure she was going in the right direction. This meant that whenever she asks me a question, I don't necessarily give her the answer, but I coach her to figure out the answer herself. This way she continues to be as independent a learner as possible, not bound by someone else's biases and preferences.
Sorry?
Where is that?
Where's Novioko? What does Novioko sound like?
Oh. Usono? Is that US?
US?
Ah, I didn't know. I thought it was like somewhere in Russia.
Mia nomo estas Ana Pana. Mia persona nomo estas Ana. Mia familia nomo estas Pana.
Although it's kind of scaring me because I'm having so much trouble with this. And this is the easiest language in the world. So how am I going to do for like
You're literally 2 hours into it. There's nothing to be worried about.
Okay.
On day 3, or actually hour 3, she found that her biggest problem holding her back now was the lack of words. So she started to focus on vocabulary learning.
Yeah, so I'm having trouble remembering words. And so I'm trying to come up with mnemonics, but I suck at it.
Which words? Maybe I can give you a hand.
Coon is
Coon?
with.
Yep.
All I can think of is raccoon.
Yeah, like think of a connector, a connection. Something that's connecting,
Okay.
connects with.
Okay.
So maybe that helps a bit.
That is helpful. I came up with a few that work. Like, for instance, the behold, or there it is yen.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been saying, behold, I found some yen on the street.
On day 4, she used a nice trick in Esperanto to double the words you know through easy remembering of opposites.
And big and small?
Big, I guess that's a good one in this. The
No,
positive one? Which one's positive? Big?
Yeah.
Okay, so granda
Mm-hmm.
and malgranda. That's hard to say. Malgranda.
Yeah.
Look, it's a hard transition.
How about beautiful and ugly?
Bella? Kai. Malbella. Cool. Okay, I think I know what my first mini mission needs to be.
What's that?
I keep forgetting what the carets or the inflections in each of the letters represents in terms of pronunciation. So I keep forgetting over and over again.
To help her with the phonetics, I decided to sit her down and go through a Wikipedia article about her hometown.
So, type in Baltimore, but don't click enter. Select Esperanto.
Oh. I guess I never really find Wikipedia through just going to articles just for going to
Yeah.
the Wikipedia homepage. In fact, I'm not sure I've ever seen the Wikipedia homepage until this moment.
It's reserved for nerds like me.
Do you think that they'll have an article about Baltimore?
But yeah, because Baltimore, Marilando.
Oh my god.
Give it a second.
Baltimore.
Read it aloud to me.
Okay. Baltimoro estas la plej granda urbo en la usona ŝtato Marilando.
Day 5 was a very busy day. We went on to memrise.com and set up her account, and she learned lots of new words through mnemonics, and we even created one ourselves.
Okay, learning?
Yeah. Number of pinned courses garden.
Number of items per planting session?
Yes.
So that means every new session I only learn 5 words?
Yeah.
That seems very low.
Change to 15.
Is 15 like hard?
No.
It may be a chocolate cake, but it's also a cucalada cuco.
Read that word again.
Coco.
No.
Chocolada cuco.
Mm-hmm. But what's our mem going to be?
Okay.
So sec.
Secca.
Think of something starting with words.
Dry.
Words that start with sec, like secular and so on.
Alright, I guess second.
So, in the desert, water in the dry desert, water evaporates in a second.
She had also learned a dialogue in her course that day, so I spontaneously decided to test her out, and we had a conversation based on that dialogue. I was so happy to see her really use the language with me in just a few hours of learning.
Ĉu vi havas gefratojn?
Yes, mi havas gefratojn.
Wow! Kiom da gefratojn vi havas?
Mi havas, I don't know how to say numbers. 3? 3? Really?
Really? Kie loĝas via familio?
Mia familio loĝas en Marylando. En Usono.
En Usono. Wow.
And finally, today, on day 6, she came up with that phrase you saw at the beginning of the video, without me translating it for her. But I gave her a hand to see other ways to check that it was right.
Okay, so hello, my name is Lauren, and this week I started
Yeah.
learning
Yeah.
Esperanto. Is that better?
Yeah.
So I know saluton, mia nomo estas Lauren, kai I don't know how to say tiu semano. And I don't know how to say I started. I didn't learn that.
What's a fancier way of saying start in English?
Began.
To begin, and another one? To
Commence.
commence. So, in Esperanto,
Mi komencis lerni Esperanton.
great. If you didn't have me to walk you through that, there's another great way you can get feedback. If you go into Learnu
Okay.
and go to the main page,
Alright.
since you're logged in, you can do one of the things you can do now is you can actually live chat with people.
Oh.
So how do you say hello?
Saluton.
How do you ask a yes or no question?
Chu.
And then phrase is just
Frazo.
frazo.
Chu. Tiu. Frazo. Correct.
Instead of correct, you can say is it good?
Bona.
Because there's one mistake I see in that.
Oh, why didn't you tell me?
While we were talking, someone corrected a mistake in her sentence, live in a chat window.
Oh my god.
Because that way you learn.
And then they did a wavy bye face. That's nice. They're very nice.
Yeah.
We were now ready to record the intro.
Tiu semajno mi komencis lerni Esperanton. Is that right?
That's it.
Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next week.